The dictionary defines dreaming as a visionary creation of the imagination. In 1984, a handful of local garden enthusiasts were dreaming of the possibility of a conservatory right here in the Quad Cities. But it was, at that time, only a dream.
We had a plant sale at Longview Park, and somebody said, "What are we going to do with the profits?" And it just evolved from there.
Well, the Rock Island Horticulture Club members thought that we ought to have a bigger conservatory in Rock Island.
Dorothea Bear, Bob Towler, Jerry Zimmerman, and Barbara Nestler, and myself.
And our vision was to have something that was regional and would cover not only the building, but also the grounds, and be able to see different environments and plants in the grounds.
And so the dreamers continued to dream.
It was a time-consuming process, and we had to get people on board that some cases weren't too interested in it.
I think that was one of our hang-ups, was that nobody thought that we could raise enough money to do it, and just gave up on us.
Through it all, the dreamers never stopped believing that the gardens would take root in the heart of the Quad Cities.
I think that was the idea that if people gave us a negative thought, that we had to overcome it right now.
Over time, nonprofit status was granted, bylaws were created, a name and a logo were established, and funding was secured.
Yeah, when we started out, when we talked to other places, they talked about how it took 10 years to get to the building point, and that's what our experience was.
By 1997, a dream was on the verge of becoming a reality, and on June 12th of that year, golden shovels broke ground on what would become the Quad City Botanical Center, a crown jewel perched on the edge of the Mississippi River. Just 1 year later, on June 20th, 1998, the gates were cast open to the public, and the dream of opening a lush tropical garden and education center had finally become a reality. And in the 15 years since its opening, the Quad City Botanical Center has continued to grow and to meet its mission of bringing people and plants together in fun and meaningful ways.
We since then have grown to become what you see today when you visit the gardens. We added the outdoor conifer garden and pond. We added several collections. We have a dwarf conifer collection that was by a premier horticulturist in the Quad Cities. We have added an iris collection. We have, of course, the beautiful tropicals that are in the sun garden. We have added a garden train railroad, a secret garden, a educational greenhouse, an events canopy. We've continued to grow over time, and all of these particular things that we've added have in one way or another met part of the mission and complemented what services we have to offer the Quad Cities.
And it all began with a simple dream.
We see 7,500 school kids every year that come through the gardens.
I think it's really important for children to experience the land, experience plants, experience learning through tactile activities. So we often plant plants with our visitors in the greenhouse, and they get to experience the mimosa plant in the sun garden, which closes its leaves. They get to feel those tropical plants and really experience the differences and see what there is, what the world has to offer.
I think it's crucially important for kids to understand that so many of the things that we have start with nature.
The Quad City Botanical Center has met and exceeded even the wildest expectations of those original dreamers. The dreams we realize become gifts to our children, and those left unrealized create a new generation of dreamers.
The dream of the future for the Botanical Center is to build out the entire plan for the children's garden. It includes a lot of these different garden pods or garden pockets, and each of these particular pieces of the garden have very specific learning outcomes for the children, but the kids don't necessarily know that they're there to learn. And the kids, they're exploring and they're learning through the experience of engaging in all of these different ways with plants.
It's going to be a real thrill to see the children's garden get completed.
The kids are just such a great audience, and they really are enthusiastic, which I appreciate. It makes my job a lot easier because it makes me just as excited as they are to teach them about the plants as they are to learn about the plants.
It all adds to the education of the public and kids, which is really what the garden's all about.
My wife and I bought a piece of property in 1974 that was used to junk cars before we bought it. And we worked hard and we cleaned it up, and we've built a great home for ourselves. And so I see a parallel down here in terms of taking a former industrial site and making it green space again and being both an educational and aesthetic asset to the Quad Cities.
Well, the more children get involved in growing things, the better life they'll have.
People have a need to build a home, to plant a tree, that concept, and it seems like it's a very part of our mystique and human nature is to want to plant something.
And so it is with dreams. One fulfilled gives way to the next, and dreamers find strength in numbers. Today we invite you to join our number, and together we'll continue to dream of the day when this beautiful facility lives up to its full potential, and when unborn generations of Quad City families are yet drawn here, together with plants, to interact in fun and meaningful ways.